You know, one thing history does not like, it's a smartass. Um, Talk a little bit about Ignaz, I hope I pronounced that right, Semmelweis. Now, he was a Hungarian doctor working in Vienna in the early 19th century. Now, his parents wanted him to be a cooper, a maker of barrels, but he deferred. He was very demure, so he demurely deferred in deference to his desires. In short, he deterred himself. Now, back then, doctors were a bit different than they are today. An enterprising doctor might be doing autopsies in the morning, trying to figure out what a liver did, and then delivering babies in the afternoon. Now, at Semmelweis's hospital, childbirth, always difficult at the best of times, was a particularly dangerous activity. You might think Jon Stewart saying that Trump was right about COVID escaping from a Chinese lab on Stephen Colbert's Late Show is dangerous, but that's peanuts compared to delivering babies in this Vienna hospital. History has quietly, very quietly, vindicated the Donald, which is a great example of how the left keeps shooting itself in the foot. Now, because it was a loosey-goosey affair, babies at this hospital were delivered by whomever happened to be sitting around. Sometimes that was doctors, and sometimes midwives, and sometimes no one at all. The no one at all scenario was not so bad as it turns out. Semmelweis noticed a very curious thing. He noticed when doctors delivered babies, the mortality of the mums was much higher than when the babies were delivered by midwives or no one at all. The doctors seemed to be hazardous to the mother's health, and that got him thinking, maybe healthcare isn't for me. Maybe I would like to make barrels. It also got him thinking about a possible link between the doctors and the dying moms. After trying to dismiss this as foolhardy for a long time, he finally had to admit that it really seemed like barrels might be in his future. Barrel making didn't kill anyone and was very fun if you happened to have some monkeys lying around. And face it, who doesn't? Also, he had to admit that the doctors might somehow be the link. Now, today we know that if you're cutting up dead bodies in the morning with your bare hands, you should not stick those hands into your mouth. I did that once, but never again. Semmelweis was alive way before the germ theory of disease was known. Germ theory is the scientific understanding that many diseases are caused by microscopic organisms, such as bacteria, virus, or fungi, or fun guys, especially during spring break. Am I right, ladies? At Semmelweis's time, people thought diseases were from miasma, or bad air. Side note, that's where the term malaria comes from. Bad air, malaria. They also thought that maggots appeared on rotting meat just spontaneously, from nothing. Now, to be fair, they also believed their wives when they said, I must perambulate to a different part of the village to visit an ill acquaintance. No need to wait up. So while our boy couldn't explain it, he noticed that if he washed his hands, he could reduce the number of women who died. Excited by this, he did what any of us would do. He tried to get his patients to pay him to wash his hands. Having done that, he thought he'd show off and explain to the other doctors what he was doing and get them to go along. He thought he was a bit of a big shot. Now you might think they said, Thank you, Dr. Semmelweis, for pointing that out. That's very helpful. Unlike your parents, I'm glad you didn't choose a life of barrel making. We'll be better doctors and actively kill fewer of our patients. Now, you might think that's what happened, and you'd be dead wrong. What did they do? Even as they saw that he was right and the number of women dying in childbirth was lower when he washed his hands, they mocked him, humiliated him, drove him out of the profession. They said, the answer can't be so easy. So he started calling them stupid heads, or whatever that is in German, and it did little to change their minds. It only entrenched them in their opposition even more. They didn't take kindly to his smart-assedness. Eventually, he was put in an asylum. His own family lied about him to put him in there. Turns out, Semmelweis was a smart, precocious guy, but it also goes to show how much people don't like a smart-ass. Anyhoodle, after his family got him committed, he died 2 weeks later after being beaten by the guards. Presumably, they were fans of barrels and didn't like his snobbish attitude towards their making. He likely died of an infection, the very thing he was trying to prevent. And they say irony is dead. That was only about 200 years ago. History is littered with people who are highly competent but insufferable jackasses. Sir Walter Raleigh comes to mind, and many others. History does not love a smartass.